Boom.
Live, fired up.
2026.
2026.
Check it out, dude. And
we made it.
I'm having the best hair day of the year so far, dude.
Yeah, I need a haircut real bad.
You know what? I've not actually had a haircut since before COVID.
What?
Oh, yeah. I do the little house on the prairie thing where I'm just sitting at the house just every once in a while.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Well, I'm going full Gandalf, dude. I made it to this advanced age, and it's still mostly there.
Absolutely. Welcome to 2026.
Yeah. So how did it go?
Been a wild ride.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. It's been a couple of weeks too. So you were on the road.
I feel like my 2026 entry was pretty good. I've had several people though. They're like, "Hey, 2025 got like 2 last punches in."
Oh, dude,
you know what I mean? They're like, "Hey,
yes.
there's 1 hour left, like 2 last punches in before the end of the year," and here we go. So like some people are they're like, "Oh shoot, okay, here we go," and but it's good. I'm excited. We've got last year was such a like get back into momentum, build stuff, and like now I feel like we're going this year in momentum, which is awesome. Instead of like, okay, let's start. You know what I mean? Like now we're like, okay, we're doing it. So, and that said, everything is perfect. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Money's perfect, teams. Everything's just perfect. So
yes, and we're done.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, so 2025 definitely got a few licks in before it left.
A couple hits before the end of the year. Yep.
And but I had said before my word for the year for 2026 is connection, because over the past, say, 18 months or so, it's been this crazy confluence of events where folks are coming together based on where, like, I don't know, I just feel like the Forrest Gump of DFW real estate sometimes, where, so like, for example, in November, we did or it might have been even December, see it all runs together, but the gals did their event at Metrotex, and it was like, everybody there has been in here and either has a show or done a show or been on a show or whatever. Yeah. And then we're recording the whole thing, and it's like, wow, okay. Yeah. So even though, of course, it was all their talent and their gifts or whatever that were being accentuated and put on display, I couldn't help but feel like, okay, I'm at least tangentially, I'm like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon from this, and that was awesome. And then, I gave you the pregame of, the last couple of shots that 2025 took. And it was like, all right, got you down. Yeah. But it was like one of those things where you get to the point of existential dread and then it doesn't kill you.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Then somehow I forget that I can take a punch, over time.
Absolutely.
And then I don't know about you, but I always have this thing of where I almost categorically don't remember anything I've actually achieved or anything I've done.
100%.
Where if I were to sit back and look, I mean, just shit. I mean, look. Yeah. And then
I have to scroll through pictures. Like, and I get my clients to this, hopefully every quarter, at least once a year, where we write down some of our wins from the year. And it's amazing. I'll sit down and be like, you know what I mean? I'm like, did I have any, I'll literally scroll through my phone and be like, oh yeah, I did this. We went to this concert. We did this event, this transformation, this screenshot of this client, telling me that, they got number one, whatever it is. So now I'll literally take pictures because I know I'm going to go back and just screen through them to find my wins, because it's amazing how many wins we have. Here's what happens. I know what it is. Like when bad things happen, we go, I never want that to happen again. So we remember that. It's like if our memory is like this big lake. Like good memories, we throw in the big lake and we're like, oh, I don't need to remember that. Like it worked out. So floats to the bottom. Bad things, right? Like that time, it didn't go good. We're like, oh, keep that shit at the top.
Yeah,
let's
keep go that ahead right and guard against that.
And remember, don't say that dumb thing. Hey, don't approach that person that way. Like, oh, remember when you did this? And that, so we keep those at the top of the lake to protect us, but the problem is all the good things kind of soak down. So we take a look over the lake. We're like, oh, I suck at life. You know what I mean? We're like, oh, look at my lake.
Nothing good ever happens.
Of just every mistake that I've made.
Yeah, there is that negativity bias, and one of the things that I've learned just in this sort of whatever you want to call it, self-employment, entrepreneurial universe, is that there is an element of the self-employed entrepreneur that your success will be directly correlated to how much pressure you can stand.
Yeah.
And luckily, unluckily, depending on your point of view, I would have had all the experience of pre-sobriety life where it was nothing but pressure. Yeah. Now, of course, it was all self-inflicted.
And it's tough, Right. It's interesting. I was talking to, actually, I was on my way here this morning talking to one of my good friends, Kendra, shout out. And she's amazing. We were talking, we lost a friend of ours about 2 weeks ago, passed away in a plane crash, right? Very, very young, tragic, terrible. So we've been just kind of checking on each other, how are you doing? And it was interesting. So this morning we're like, how are you doing? And, it was funny because my response was absolutely, working to give everything to God while planning towards the future, whilst being present and all in, while having really good work ethic and taking time to rest and be present. So basically nailing it. You know what I mean? But isn't that it? It's like focus on the future, but I'm in the present. I'm going all in, but I'm also pacing myself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm working really hard, but I'm also leveraging and letting amazing miracles come to my life. It's like, what the hell are we doing? Right? It's tough to balance all that. But like you said, I think a big part is can I just frame my mind in the morning, focus on the goals, get present, give gratitude, and celebrate some of the wins. And I think it's a big thing. How do I want to emotionally travel through this year? I think is a great question.
Oh.
Right? How do I want, and a great way to look at it is what do you want your predominant emotional state to be?
That presupposes that I want anything to do with my feelings.
We're getting it. It's a journey. Welcome to Feelings with Rick. That's next week.
Yes.
And right, but for most people, their predominant feeling, especially if they ask the people closest to them, what would they say your predominant feeling was? Would it be stressed, anxious? What would it be? Or was it present, enthusiastic, clear, confident? So it's interesting to think what do I want my predominant emotional kind of state to be, and then how do what's the routine and kind of the things I go to make it there? How do I?
Are you having them reverse engineer that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What leads to clear and focused and confident, what leads to that stuff? And I think that's the key. It's how can I make it almost impossible for that not to show up, right? If I take care of my body, if I do the key things I need to do to grow my business, if I do these key things, it's almost impossible for me not to have this kind of experience. Make sense?
Yes. And so one of those things is, I'm in the world of recovery or whatever, where there's a lot of spirituality. It's non-denominational as far as just basic recovery, but there's the higher power, there's all of that stuff, and let's just say it's faith-based on many levels. And for me, I always struggled with that and still would if it was just thrown at me or whatever. But over time, I get evidence.
Yeah.
So it's it becomes math rather than a belief in something nebulous. And so that counts too for just the ass kickings of, again, self-employment, entrepreneurial universe, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I've always had this thing too where once I learned to be responsible for the effort, not the outcome, it allows me to have multiple, balls in the air, but none of them are life or death. And then every so often something comes along that's really important, which was my Christmas dark tea time of the soul, where it was okay, this is not going as planned.
Right.
And the idea that, it was somebody said it to me and they're well, so far you've survived 100% of the shittiest days of your life.
Yes.
And it's that's valid.
And most of the worst case scenarios that I spent the most time fretting about didn't actually come to fruition.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like most of who was it? I think it was Mark.
I was going to say yes.
Some person.
It was Mark Twain.
Yes, exactly. Or Eleanor Roosevelt. We don't know. You know what I mean? But most of the terrible things I've experienced never actually happened.
Yes.
I just experienced them in my mind and agonized over them and over, and they never actually came to fruition. So it's okay to go, hey, worst case scenario is blank. Okay, put that away, and then get back to the present.
So here's one for you. So I'm a huge fan, and it was weird that I'd only found this guy maybe within the last couple of years, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Neville Goddard is one of the abundance. He would be like Wallace Wattles or the Think and Grow Rich Napoleon. All
is
that.
he the black guy with the really good beard?
No.
Okay.
So this is a guy. It was the weirdest combination. He was like a British guy from Barbados in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Okay. Yeah, and he was, and this would shock everybody that knows me. He's based in like a Christianity type of mindset, but not in the way that standard westernized versions and American versions of like storefront brand name churches would do. It's not like a prosperity gospel way. Like, God wants you to have a Ferrari.
Right.
It's like, thank you, God. You know, it's not that. But it is this idea that it's manifesting in the woo-woo sense of, and it ties into what you just said, where the worst shit that ever happened to me didn't really happen. It was all in my head.
Yeah.
You can flip that.
Yeah.
And start thinking and feeling as if the best things. So it's like the flip side of that coin. And then he uses like biblical, references or whatever, but he uses a metaphor and illustrations of the human condition. So like the one I listened to the other day was about Jonah and the whale or whatever. And it's like, as a little kid, I'm like, really? Like swallowed by a whale? But the idea was, and if I'm remembering this correctly, I didn't really pay attention in Sunday school.
Yeah, I think you missed a couple classes.
Yeah,
But keep going. Yeah.
I skipped vacation.
Jonah and the pterodactyl, but no, you're close. You're close. Yeah.
But the idea was that Jonah refused his mission, and that was the point of it. And it was like, oh, okay. And so it also ties into the Joseph Campbell hero's journey, where there's the call to action, and almost every time in mythology, the someday soon to be future hero says no.
Well, and there's a struggle, and then there's a boss at every level.
Yes.
Right? At the end of every level, there's like the big boss, and it's like, oh, okay, I thought I was there. I went through all the struggle. It's like, nope, one more.
And I was having this conversation with somebody recently where they were struggling with one of the things in recovery is you have to make peace with, I have a history of shitty decisions.
Right.
And like those had consequences that absolutely ruined giant chunks of my life.
Yes.
And at the time, they seemed well informed, or they were done out of negative emotion or whatever, like some sort of like, I'm going to vengeance or whatever. And to make peace with that, where you're the final boss in everything that is wrong with you. Because until you get the accountability that is required to get past it. And if you're just put upon by everything, I'll throw out Job there, it's like, okay, that dude would have had every reason in the world to feel put upon.
Right.
Because he was absolutely put upon. But the idea is, if you can take the accountability for your part in that, it makes it way easier to get past it.
Absolutely.
Now, I say that, and it's like, I've been sober for 21 years, and I've probably been doing it for about a half an hour.
Yeah. No, you're good, though. You're good.
So it balances out. So that's been my thing. And then having the word be connection for 2026, and then having everything, like all roads lead to Rome.
Yes.
But dude, some of them, they not only take the long way around the barn, they loop the barn 6 or 8 times, go the other way for a minute.
Absolutely. Yes.
There's no linear, and there's no hockey stick to any of this. It's been this weird circuit, and I'm super stoked for 2026, which usually I'm ambivalent. I'm like, more of the same, whatever. But now it's like, it actually, when you can start to see the pieces of
Come
the
together.
puzzle, it's like, okay, for the longest time, I was just working on the box lid.
Yeah.
It's like
trying to find the pieces scattered all over the house,
exactly.
couple
It's
in the
like,
yard, couple in the woods.
It's like, is that a corner piece? Oh, So to that,
stuck to epic. I love this. You came up with this. I mean, this is so good.
That was my sort of own inventory and reasoning, because I use AI as in the world of recovery. There is I'm usually not this heavily into the recovery side. I usually don't talk about this, but there's the 10th step in the 12 steps of recovery are, continue to make personal inventory. And we're wrong, probably admit it.
Absolutely.
And so like the idea is you're doing a constant cataloging, or theoretically you're doing I'm not saying that I've ever done that, but I use GPT for that now.
It's so helpful.
And so then I'm having it compare and contrast my ramblings stream of consciousness with the Jungian archetypes of personality. And so then it's like, oh, you are the ruler creator with these, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And it's like, what is, if I throw out a thing, what is my likely choice and course of action going to be based on everything I've done so far?
So interesting. It's incredibly helpful.
And like right now, that's the only thing GPT is good for. But like this, through Gamma and a bunch of other stuff, awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, and I think like you want to go from stuck to epic, and I think a lot of people, it's easy to feel stuck, and one of the best things you can do to get out of stuck or to get out of overwhelm is clarity, right? And I think clarity goes like you said, an honest assessment of where you are, and I think that doesn't mean just beating yourself up. I think
No.
sometimes people just go like, well, I suck at this. Like their honest version is just beating themselves up. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for, like, if you were coming in as a coach or as a strategist,
Yes.
where it's going like, okay, here's where we are. Here's what's good. Here's what's not good. So like the honest assessment, I think is good. And then figuring out like, what do you want for 2026? And I tell you what, every single person that has ever taught how to achieve your goals or any of that, right? They've always said, like, keep your eye on the prize, figure out where you want to go. And like, if you don't know where you want to go, right, it's all for naught. So I think
Right.
getting clear on like, where do you want to go, getting crystal clear on that, and then holding it lightly, right? Which is the messed up part. So it's like, get really clear, like, hey, here's
Yep.
where I want to go.
Strong
Cool.
beliefs loosely held.
Yes, and then it's like, here's the direction I'm going to build, and man, I'm so passionate about this because I think every single person deserves to have a clear vision, but then a custom tailored map to get where they want to go, right? Which is this part, right? So it's like, okay, here's where I want to go, and back to our point earlier, like, what would it take with almost absolute certainty to achieve this goal? Well, if I talk to this many people a day,
Yes.
at least this many are going to say yes. At least, right? So it's like, what would it take? What's it going to take with absolute certainty to be able to hit this? Then what? And I think you should be able to take every single one of your goals. And it's like, hey, if I have a 500 calorie deficit every day, like, I'm naturally going to lose weight, right? If I talk to 100 people a day and say, do you want to buy or sell a house? Somebody's going to say yes, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, have you built it into like the daily actions that are mathematically certain?
I was going to say,
that are gonna
at a
reach your
certain
goal?
point, if you are willing
Yep.
to go there, it all becomes a math problem.
It is. It's a math problem.
You know,
Yeah.
and so like my thing now is visibility and scalability. And so like I have the VAs right now cataloging like, okay, who were our top 25 clients for
Right.
2025?
Yep.
And then I'm going to have Rebecca on the phone, invite them in to be interviewed
Yes.
by me.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, now it's going to be like this appreciation thing. And then I'm now, I might regret this, but I'm open to the idea of like, hey, where do we suck? You know,
Yeah.
like, or what do you hate about real estate
Yeah.
photography or
Yeah.
real estate photographers? You know,
Yeah.
that sort of thing where suiting up and showing up is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then now suiting up and showing up and the idea of the clarity
Yeah.
of being right sized.
Yeah.
Be, who you are, where you are.
Yeah.
You know, I always say whenever we're doing content for people, it's like, well, let's try to get your personality in there.
Yes.
Like, so like what's on the label matches what's in the can.
Yep.
And that way you're never playing a role.
Correct.
And when people see you digitally and then they meet you in
It's the
real
same
life,
thing.
it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're never weirded out by it.
No, well, and that's the cool thing. What you're talking about is like, this is kind of a circle, because then you take massive action.
Yes.
Right. And it's usually massive action is what it requires. But then you do this again, right? So you're taking massive action, and then once a week you have some reflection. Once a month you have deeper reflection. Once a quarter you go real deep, right? But then you go, all right, where am I at? Cool. Intention, direction, execution, right? So it's not a one-time, hey, I'll look up in December and see where we landed, right? You know, which is how most people do. It's a circle. It's a cycle. And
Yes.
if you can come into a routine of that and consistent of that, that's where the magic happens.
And going back to my word of, you know, connection or whatever for 2026, the biggest thing was like, yes, of course, I was just sitting around or on the way here or whatever, formulating these ideas.
Right.
But it was like, and yes, of course, if I could stuff more time into the, you know, or more on my plate,
Yeah.
I could do all of that myself.
Yeah.
But the idea of like, okay, let's have an assistant look up the data. Let's have Rebecca coordinate. And then, of course, Austin
Yeah.
will be here whenever people come in.
Yeah.
And then, okay, all I had to do is have the idea and then delegate.
Be the director.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
have it all. So this is a microcosm of what I want 2026 to be. And so then it becomes a matter of, well, how do I do that?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing is I have to tell myself the truth.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
it's kind of, I don't know, basically embedded in everybody that has some sort of addiction problem
Yeah.
or addictive personality, that distraction plays a big role in whatever you're doing.
yeah.
And the idea of, okay, I'm feeling a certain way,
Yeah.
and well, we're not having that. You know, let's do something about that.
Correct.
And it's at least for me, it was never, let's address that in the source and like, let's talk through it. No, it was never that. It's like, okay, could we just get a
Yeah.
case of beer and like,
Well,
not?
and I mean, I think distraction kills more dreams than failure usually does, you know, and I think our phones and our devices and everything else have become this way to get out of uncomfortable moments.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Cool, scroll. Or
Yep.
or there's something tough I need to do. I'm gonna go look at this or whatever. And I think it's become a numbing tool more than anything else, and it allows us just to not stay focused. So
Yes,
focus
and now-
is your superpower if you know how to use it.
Yeah, and telling other people, there's what I don't know the cliched phrase where it's like a trouble when talked about is halved and a joy is doubled, or but clearly that's not my wheelhouse.
And more from your book coming up. More from readings with Rick. Yes, yeah.
Clearly, it's the feel good episode right
Absolutely.
now. Yeah, we're kicking it off in style.
All right, we watch this episode a year from now. What are we proud of?
I'm going to throw it out there that we meaning I actually followed through with everything, because it's like, man, I was always like really fast
give me
out of
the
the
one
gate.
or two though. What specific things? What do you want to be proud of a year from now?
The further extension and entrenchment of my network.
Love it.
And because it turns out, historically, nature, nurture, whatever, I'm an isolator.
Yeah.
And that used to be I would isolate and intoxicate. And so, well, that's not really, that has sort of a very finite shelf life and one particular ending.
Yep.
And I managed to dodge that bullet somehow. But now it's like, okay, well, what about the opposite of that?
Yeah.
And so maybe the next 20 years of sobriety will be the opposite of that. That's what I'm endeavoring to do. And the other thing is to have people in my network that I actually like and enjoy, where the whole transaction, I can't remember, I'm paraphrasing Ashley now, where she said, like, I refuse to be anywhere, do anything that doesn't like hit all the buttons.
Yeah.
That's definitely a paraphrase.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's the thing I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, okay, so you could really be that intentional.
Yeah.
Good and bad. Bad meaning like cutting things out.
Yeah.
Because that's usually taken as a negative, where like, I'm not going to do that anymore, or like, I'm not going to be around that person. It's always usually some sort of elevated emotional thing where it's like, no, I'm just not.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as that. What about you?
Man, I in a similar way, that I lived a year really in alignment with my values, right? And like you said, if it doesn't line up with all three, why are we doing it, right? And for me, it's like, it's fun. It's got to be enjoyable. It's got to be fun. It's got to make a really positive impact, and I've got to be growing at the same time, right? So if we're doing all three of those, that's great. So leveling up our clients, nailing our events, getting my team, like you said, I'm more of the director mode, less of doing the things, and just keep leveling them up is beautiful.
Yes.
So
all right, brother.
That's it.
Let's go. 2026.
Happy New Year. Here we go.
Boom.